This week on SailAway. Since being at the dock in Charleston, we've leaped headlong into tons of small jobs. But now it's time for a big one.
Lithium is kind of the obvious choice, except for one thing. They're freaking expensive.
So we rolled the dice on the Chinese alternative for less than half the price.
Are you excited?
Yeah. Do things. I'm on the hook again.
Oh.
Now does it feel like
it feels a lot heavier.
So it's out with the wimpy, sketchy old and in with 900 amp hours of the new. And then on to the next big modification that's all about comfort. But it's all about conservation with this demo because we're going to use every part to make something brand new.
Ever wish you could escape normal life and experience more of the world?
So meet me on that island.
Well, we did just that. We sold everything we owned on dry land and sailed away.
Promise me that we'll sail away.
Now we are roaming the planet in search of new adventures and sharing it with you every week.
Just promise me that we'll sail away.
So hit subscribe and escape normal with us.
And I'll be yours forevermore.
Come on, it's just that little button down there. That's it.
So yeah, we've just been making they're kind of small improvements, but they're huge to us because it's like little things that we wished we could do when we moved on the boat. But when we pretty early on decided to come back to the US to do it, then we just held off on all of that because we knew how much cheaper it would be to get things like that here. But I want to introduce you to pretty cool new crew members, and that's these. We have partnered with Chins, makers of LiFePO4 lithium batteries for use in RVs, off-grid homes, boats, you name it. We have been in need of new batteries since the moment we bought the boat. It only had 3 110 amp hour AGM batteries. We figured they were probably about 4 years old, and they went downhill real fast. So luckily the generator was working well. That's not something we obviously want to do long term. So we knew we were going to need batteries for this boat. Down in the islands, especially down in Grenada, everything is so much more expensive. And we really wanted to get lithium batteries. You know, we're not roughing it type sailors. You know, we want to have a small carbon footprint, but we like having a microwave. We have 2 computers running a lot of the time. We charge a lot of devices. So we have, I think, pretty high battery needs for house batteries. Lithium is kind of the obvious choice, except for one thing. They're freaking expensive. You know, while they have come down in recent years, they're still really pricey. We had 600 amp hours of Fireflies on Cecilia. Ultimately was not crazy about the Fireflies, but that just kind of barely cut it for everything we had with the solar we had and all the things that we ran on the boat, including a DC water maker. So on this boat, I really wanted to do more amp hours, and in lithium, if we could somehow figure out how to afford it. It's kind of a big deal to keep your batteries above 12 volts anyway, and with AGMs and lead acid, you start going down below that, the life of your battery goes way down. Lithium batteries, they kind of like to live somewhere in that middle range, and they don't mind being run down to a much lower depth of discharge. You don't get that low voltage that you get with AGMs and lead acid. You're still well above 12 volts, so everything runs the way it's supposed to run. We could not figure out how we could possibly afford the size of bank that we needed with everything else that we've got to do to this boat. So kind of going with our philosophy, starting off with this boat, we're trying to see how inexpensively we can do all of these projects. We need to live on the boat. We need to do the things that matter the most first so that it's livable. And then a lot of it we're doing as we go, as inexpensively as we can. I had noticed a lot of these Chinese lithium brands, many places online, and particularly on Amazon. So I started investigating a little bit. This is one of the brands that I focused in on. because they had what seemed to be a pretty solid line of batteries, and they'd been around for a few years. Reviews were many and very, very high. So I decided to look into them a little bit more. Price-wise, they're about $1,000 for a 300 amp hour battery. That's incredible for lithium. We're gonna install them, use them, and let you know how they do. Because frankly, the savings buying batteries like this is so substantial. It's kind of hard to ignore this segment of the lithium battery market. I know there's a lot of you out there like us who can't just go drop $10,000 on a battery bank. And with these, you don't have to. So we got those two, and one more right here. And then our battery compartment is right here underneath the nav station, which is really convenient. And as you can see, we got 3 of those Group 31 batteries in there, and a lot of extra space. So fitting these 3 shouldn't be a problem. It's just a matter of figuring out the best way to lay them out and how to mount them down so they don't slide around. I'm going to check the voltage first.
13.
See if they're all even, at least even enough.
13.24.
That's definitely close enough.
13.24.
Cool. Alright, that's good. If there's much difference in their capacity, you have to charge them separately to get them all up as even before you attach them all together to avoid back current as they try to take charge from each other and balance each other out. It's much better to get them charged up on their own first. But these are good.
Good.
Are you excited?
Yeah. And do things out on the hook again.
Such as?
Well, we'll get a water maker, and we'll be able to have a water maker.
Yeah.
And I've got an Instapot now, and I've got an air fryer, and so we were a little premature in that, maybe.
Oh.
But we've been at the dock, so it's been fine. So it'd
Right.
be nice to actually use it. Not at
The dock. So this is our battery compartment. Our batteries are a completely different shape and size. I think what I need to do is get these disconnected and out of there, probably dismantle that box. It looks like some acid may have spilled on it in the past, so there's definitely some weird decay going on one spot. We may be able to install these without constructing a box and just put some borders on the floor to keep them from sliding, and then straps over top just to hold everything down. Because this is essentially underneath our nav station, and it's pretty protected from any kind of water intrusion or anything like that. Obviously, being on a catamaran, you don't have quite the same kind of movements that you do on a monohull where the whole boat could be leaning on its side. So we'll definitely get them secured, but I think just a nice perimeter keeping them from sliding side to side is probably going to work just fine. Start unhooking stuff. We've all filled up our water glasses and water bottles so we don't die of thirst while the batteries are disconnected. Okay, the first thing I need to do is to make sure that our solar panels are not connected. Flip these off. And yep, I just turned it off. Cool. That's what we wanted. We already disconnected our lead from our inverter, so that's good to go.
Our inverter charger and our solar regulator are both configurable for lithium, which is very important for lithium batteries.
Oh my god, those are heavy. Oh, I need to weigh these. I swear, this is about twice as much as one of those lithiums for a third of the amp hours. Let's do a weight test. 67.7. God, feels like a feather compared to this.
They're the same.
Maybe it's just easier to pick up. It's 3 times the amp hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 5 pounds lighter and 3 times the amp hours. I stand by my amazement.
Now does it
Now
feel
it
like
feels a lot
60?
heavier.
What's that?
I don't know. Is that charred?
Looks like it.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing that was doing it now.
Recently.
Yeah. Sometime it gets past though, something
Try
bad
to
happened, and
start
then
on
they
fire.
just put batteries back in on top of it instead of cleaning it up. Okay. So here's our battery box, and I just measured everything. Four would not have worked.
No, only
Glad I
3.
didn't get greedy with the battery count. Alright, 2 more. I've got 2 batteries sitting in here. I'm about to slide this third one in there just so I can mark where I want our stops to be. As you can see, these things fit in here freaking perfect. I did stumble across a weird little issue that I'm going to have to figure out. After we unhooked everything, I looked over at the panel and the refrigerator was still shown lit up. And so I turned on all the light switches and the light came on. Obviously that means our start batteries have to be tied in. The starboard side is somehow paralleled into our DC bank, our house bank, which is not good because I can't have an AGM sitting in the same bank as these lithiums. You can't do that. The port side, however, is not that way. And that is the motor that will charge our batteries when the motor is running. So that side must be wired up properly, and for some reason the starboard side is not. And I'll have to figure that out. I just left it off for now. We're sitting, we're not going anywhere. So I'm going to hook all this up and get it working, and then, yeah, we'll have to figure out the cabling and why, A, the starboard side is somehow in the house bank, and B, why it doesn't charge the house bank. Okay, making progress here. Sorry about that. There we go. So I salvaged a couple of nice pieces of hardwood here from our old battery box. The long one will go along the front edge. The short one will go along the side. I've already got that marked off back in there. And these are pre-drilled, so it's just a matter of drilling a couple pilot holes and screwing these things in and then seeing if I actually measured right. Cut twice, measure once. That's what I always say. Now, see if we can get 3 batteries squeezed in there. Alright, moment of truth. Oh, look at that. Like butter. They look like they were literally made for that space. Just enough room around them. You can do some stuff, run some cables, do whatever. You may have noticed that the poles on these batteries are the female type, and then come with very nice hardware and nice caps to go on all of them. You screw them down through your connections, straight into there, and then put the cap on. Pretty simple. Okay, we got everything installed and wired up. And I did not do that on camera because there was a lot of me just sitting there staring at it, making sure that I was wiring this up the proper way. We're about ready to turn on the inverter, get it all set up so that it's charging them properly. Main power leads coming in. All these batteries are in parallel. Positive lead at one end of the bank, negative lead at the other end of the bank, and everything hooked up that needs to be hooked up. All we gotta do is fire the inverter up and change the parameters to Life PO4, and I think we should be pretty much good to go.
Alright, first thing's happening is we're taking out that thing. No more 2 tables. Why do we need 2 tables? We don't need 2 tables. We got 1 table there. A lounging space here. So, let's get on it.
This next project was all about daily life on board, and something we'd had in mind since before we even took possession of the boat. With the galley being down, these things came with 2 giant dinner tables, which is one too many for a family of 3 or even 5. We knew we'd be much better served by a big cushy daybed, both for family time at anchor and while on passage.
we get to say something I've always wanted to say on TV.
It's demo day! Demo day! Demo day! Yeah! Woo, 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 woo! Demo, demo, demo! It's demo day! Woo! It's demo day! It's demo day!
Bam!
Whoa, that was quick. Yeah. See what we got here. Try to decide how to rebuild this thing. Yeah, we'll definitely take the doors off and get the shelves out.
Okay.
Look how pretty that is on the bottom.
I know.
Why didn't they do that on the top?
It's the last one.
It's the final screwed down. That was weak. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Just like
Correct.
that. So much room for activities.
So much aerobics in here. So many activities. Do step class. It's making my head spin how many activities we can do.
That one. Hang on.
Ow!
Did I get you?
Flying things.
Sorry. It's in there.
There you go. Feeling pretty fancy right now.
It's a big one. I came all the way from Kentucky.
That'd be a long way.
You feeling pretty good about this? It's one of those kind of cuts there's no coming back from.
I mean, what else are we gonna do with it?
Put it back the way it was.
No, that's not gonna happen.
All right.
Okay, we were pretty gentle with our demo day, but that's because we plan to use every single piece of the old table for the new setup.
What do you think, Zeke? That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little creativity to get enough out of this box to cover all this distance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a wing it kind of job because I'm kind of making this up as I go. I've kind of picked a starting point and I'm going to go from there. I'm going to jigsaw the whole edge of the bench to make way for the table top to sit in there, nestle in exactly the way it needs to go. Once I have that, we're going to need to radius the corner of the table just a little bit to get it to snuggle right in there. So let's start with a little jigsawing. What did I do with the Sharpie? Why can't I keep things around?
Cut it.
Cut it, Nick! Cut it!
Go, Miss.
Go.
Can't think for the life of me why there would be anything in there. But it does not want to cut through it. Wow, it's like smoking.
What is it?
I don't know, but it's dulling the hell out of my blade. There must be some kind of reinforcements in this thing or something.
Is it like a steel bar?
I don't know. It's got to be. Yeah, it's like some kind of metal pieces in there. I don't know what they're in there for exactly. Unless there's long metal pieces that run through the whole thing to keep it shape, maybe. I think that'll do. And as far as the rest of that side goes, we've got some nice long hinges that we're going to run end to end that will hinge it on that edge. But before we do that, of course, we'll be building up this frame along the outside and skinning it with all this random stuff from the old table. And hopefully I can get enough out of it for it to look good to the passing eye. That so crazy patch together job, but it's going to be interesting to see if it looks reasonably okay when I'm done here. How precise do my measurements have to be for these hinges to actually work? This is a weird process because it's so irregular that I'm just kind of building as I go, and just sort of, it's like building Legos. So I add a piece and then I figure out what piece I need to make the next piece fit on, So I cut that piece, and I cut on another piece, and so I just kind of keep coming. There's no like reset plan.
Let's see this handiwork. It's just your butt. All right. Amazing.
Amazing. It's our carpet lined, wall-to-wall carpet in this storage container.
It is finished.
So there we go. There's our storage. And Lauren's going to make a cushion of this shape and just hangs over maybe an inch or so. And then it'll be a nice day bed. Still got a nice tabletop, so we'll be able to take the whole cushion, toss it on the floor, so Rivers or whoever can like just sit on the cushion, do stuff on the table for art, Hot Wheels, Legos, and then put the cushion back on there, and it's back to being a couch. And this is the randomness of which we've spoken. It's so much easier to deal with here, because you can buy hooks.
For $1. I scratched it already.
It was pretty scratched already.
Oh, Rivers needs a high five too.
Oh, high five! That was a good one.